The young woman removed the baby's used diaper and threw it into the sea without the slightest hesitation. To her surprise, the strong smell soon reportedly attracted a school of fish. At that moment, she felt a faint hope of survival reemerge. She improvised a spear using a screwdriver, but despite countless attempts, she reportedly failed to catch a single fish. Prolonged hunger and exhaustion eventually drained all her strength until she fainted on the container. Just as she was about to lose all hope, a plane suddenly flew overhead, reportedly reigniting her desire to keep fighting. Without wasting a second, she went back inside the container, took a piece of broken glass from the television, climbed onto the roof and tried to use its reflection to get the plane's attention. But the aircraft continued on its route anyway. It was then that her gaze fell on a pile of earphone wires. An idea suddenly crossed her mind. She braided the wires and made an improvised fishing net. The next morning, she placed the net into the sea and used the baby's diaper as bait. Very quickly, the strong smell once again attracted fish. Taking advantage of the opportunity, she pulled up the net and finally managed to catch a few fish. After days of starvation, she finally had something to eat. In the days that followed, she continued using this fishing method to temporarily solve the food problem. But the water level inside the container kept rising. It wouldn't be long before everything dragged them to the bottom of the sea. In hopes of being rescued more quickly, she wrote a distress message with an SOS signal on a piece of paper, placed it in a plastic container and threw it into the sea, hoping that someone would eventually find the message. But 10 days passed, and the sea remained silent, with no sign of rescue. As if that weren't enough, due to constant exposure to water, the level inside the container had reached a critical point. Even the place where they used to sleep was completely submerged. With no other option, she had to climb onto the roof of the container with her daughter. Despite that, the situation was far from resolved, as the entire container was slowly sinking, inevitably. While she was desperately searching for a way to survive, a seagull suddenly landed on the container. She was immediately surprised, as it made her think they might not be too far from land. But at nightfall, a violent storm broke out. A gigantic wave swallowed the container in an instant. The mother fought with all her strength to resurface, but eventually ended up separated from her daughter. Desperate, she kept calling out to the child, hoping to hear the faintest sound that could help her find her. Suddenly, a huge whale slowly swam in her direction. Terrified, the mother immediately tried to move away, but the animal did not seem to have bad intentions. On the contrary, it approached the small vessel where the baby was and gently sprayed water on her. The icy water made the child burst into tears, and the mother immediately recognized her daughter's cries. Without a second thought, she swam as fast as she could toward her. Shortly after, she managed to find her again. After spending an entire night drifting in the freezing sea, the young woman gradually began to lose consciousness. She gently brushed her daughter's tiny hand, as if it were a final goodbye. Then, gathering her remaining strength, she threw the remaining pieces of fish into the sea, hoping to attract seagulls searching for food. And indeed, a few minutes later, dozens of seagulls began circling above the area. Soon after, a passing fisherman noticed the flock of birds. Immediately, he and his team changed course and headed toward the small vessel. They managed to pull it out of the water, and upon discovering a baby inside, exchanged puzzled looks. It was then that they noticed the vessel was tied to a rope.